This is the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels, former TNA X Division champion and former TNA World Tag Team champion, and you are listening to the TNA Cross the Line podcast. Enjoy.
TNA Wrestling, Cross the Line.
And we're back with episode 139 of the TNA Cross the Line podcast. I am Colling Jr. And with me, as always, is Dallas Gridley. In Dallas, we are finally coming off of Victory Road. And you may be wondering, Bob, you've already done that with the best damn wrestling show. But we're not really counting those in terms of continuity and storyline because, as we've said before, that's really just to get more eyes on the product, although the argument could be made that it might have been used to get more eyes on the best damn sports show, since Impact has regularly gotten better ratings despite being on in the afternoon, and then that show being on at I think 9 o'clock at night, which I never realized. I always thought it was on at like 6, but apparently it was on at 9. But we are now out of Victory Road, and if you haven't listened to the best damn wrestling show specials, which I wouldn't blame you, because there's about to be 5 episodes in the span of 7 days for this podcast. You got to pick and choose. The NWA World Champion.
Victory Road. Victory Road.
Yeah. You want to probably listen to Victory Road, yes. Yeah, if you have to choose. NWA World Champion. It's still Jeff Jarrett. He retained over Jeff Hardy, and that is because Kevin Nash saw the light. Now, we originally were under the impression that Kevin Nash was aligned perhaps with Jeff Hardy because Jarrett had said that he was with Jeff Hardy. Well, Victory Road comes around. Kevin Nash marches on down with, I believe, 2 guitars. He's looking at Scott Hall. He's looking at Jeff Hardy. And he looks back at Scott Hall and hands him a guitar. Yeah. And Jeff Hardy gets 3 guitar shots to the noggin. And Jeff Jarrett retains. Because Kevin Nash knows where the money is. And the money is with Scott Hall as the Outsiders. Although I don't know if they're going to call them the Outsiders here in TNA.
Yeah, that's a really good question, too. Because they've been referring to them as Outsiders, but not the Outsiders.
The Outsiders. Right.
Which is actually is very smart on their part. Because let's just say, for argument's sake, that WWE happens to own the copyright for The Outsiders, which they probably do. Calling them just Outsiders in general isn't wrong, and also not calling them that as a group. So kind of a smart little play on words there, which I always enjoy when they do things like this in wrestling, where they like when they used to do Cody and Brandy Rhodes.
Right.
Because he couldn't be Cody Rhodes, or Billy and Austin Gunn. It's like, okay. I think that kind of shit's really funny. So referring to them as Outsiders, but not the Outsiders, is a really fun play on who we all know they are.
Right. The X Division champion is still Petey Williams because he successfully defended against AJ Styles in a sub 10-minute match, which is a little surprising, but still a good match. America's Most Wanted won the last team standing match against Triple X of Christopher Daniels and Ick Skipper. Not one of their better matches, but really with context now, because it's something I never really realized in the past, is that Ick Skipper probably about, I don't even know, 3 or 4 minutes into the match was knocked loopy on a top rope or middle rope leg drop, whichever it was, by Chris Harris. And he was just out of it for the remainder of the encounter. So that's kind of important to note there. The first ever Monsters Ball, which is where they were locked up for 24 hours. No light, no water, no food, no bathroom.
Oh, wow. I never thought about the bathroom part of that.
Yeah, tell me where. I guess they were just shit in the room.
No wonder they were so sweaty. They were holding in their poop.
Right. Monty Brown won that one. He defeated Raven and Abyss. So Monty Brown, who knows? Is he a number one contender? Is he going to maybe get a shot? We'll find
gotta
out.
be, man. Gotta be.
We'll find out soon enough. The other main thing too is I believe that Three Life Crew are the new tag team champions. They defeated Team Canada. Hector Garza won the X Division Battle Royal or Gauntlet for the gold, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if that necessarily equates to him being a number one contender.
Yeah, they didn't really say, but in my opinion, this means he's going to get a future shot at the X Division title. I think it's going to be one of those.
Yeah, that's what I would have to assume. Trinity's Open Challenge for any woman in the business turned out to be Jacqueline,
which
from WWE.
I do keep forgetting that she just made her debut. Now, will she stick around? Was it a one-off? I don't know. We don't really have a women's division,
No.
So I do think if she did stick around, I feel like they're going to pair her with a team, like a tag team, to then kind of feud with the New York Connection, right? I feel like that would have to be the way they'd have to handle that.
Yeah, I would assume so. Do you think that who would she go with? Three Life Crew?
I was thinking America's Most Wanted. She kind of does the cowboy hat stuff.
Yeah.
That's it. And I just think New York Connection, America's Most Wanted, they have history. So that's kind of where I'm getting that idea. But
I could see them doing like a 6-person tag.
That's what that's what I'm thinking. So not necessarily becoming part of a team, but like joining forces to then essentially have a 6-man, and then that might be the end of that.
Right. Okay, that would make sense. There was a minis match. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the names. Styles.
Oh, okay. I think I got it now. It's Masquerita Sangrado defeated. We learned on the pay-per-view. I believe it's Parita Morgan.
Right.
That happened. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. There was a kind of, I guess, unadvertised special attraction 8-man tag also on that show on Victory Road, and that was with Eric Watts. Who would have thought we'd see him again? Johnny B. Bad, Pat Kenny, and Ron Killings defeated the team of Dallas, Kid Kash, and the Naturals. And Kid Kash, that was not his only appearance, because later on he was involved in the Piper's Pit segment, which, if I'm remembering correctly, included Jimmy Snuka.
Yep.
And Kid Kash proceeded to use a coconut on Sanjay Dutt.
Mm-hmm.
And what was weird is that like the heels that were also involved in that looked at, and Kid Kash was like, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't know it was even there.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course we're reliving the moment back in the 80s when Piper did that to Snuka. So now the equivalent here in TNA is Kid Kash doing it to Sanjay Dutt. Yeah,
pretty wild. That was also Pat Kenny's return. Because now he's the Empire Saint. That was his return match, I believe. I keep forgetting that Eric Watts was there, and because we just haven't seen him in so long, and like, was that just a one-off? Did they feel like they owed him, since how long he was with them, that he deserved to be on that first big 3-hour show, and they were like calling Eric up? I don't know. That just seems like a really random slot. And Johnny B. Bad, we know he made his Impact debut just 2 days prior. But he's kind of been hovering around because of an explosion match and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Another tidbit here back to that 20-man gauntlet was that Michael Shane is no longer Michael Shane.
Right. I think, yeah. Very
Matt
important.
Bentley. On the Best Damn Wrestling show, though, he was known as Michael Shane. That was taped, of course, before Victory Road, which cements the idea to us that name change was a last-minute thing.
Right.
In Dallas, I don't know if we've discussed this before, but I have the majority of the NWA cyberspace shows that took place in New Jersey. It featured a lot of TNA talent. I'm watching a show from May of 2005 right now, reviewing it. It's been taking me a couple of days to get through it, I will admit. But on that show, Michael Shane is on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes by Michael Shane.
That's so fucking weird.
So he's going by Matt Bentley in TNA. But then
Which
on
is his
Independence, he's Michael Shane.
Matt Bentley is his real name.
Right.
So very interesting.
Does he revert back to Michael Shane though?
Okay, so I don't know is the short answer to that. And the only reason I'm going to say he doesn't is because I know he has an action figure that comes out, and it's Matt Bentley. It's not a Michael Shane action figure. So that's the only reason I'm like, I don't know if he actually does go back.
I don't know.
Super weird.
That'll be interesting to keep an eye out on.
Before we get any further, there's one more thing that happened at Victory Road that we do keep kind of forgetting about, which is like insane because it's probably the biggest thing to come out of the show.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Bob's favorite wrestler, the Macho Man, Randy Savage, made his TNA debut at the end of Victory Road after Kevin Nash cut quite the promo, which is bonkers. It's freaking insane. And over the next, I'm going to say, several shows here on the TNA Cross the Line podcast, we have a lot of interesting and fun things to talk about that. A lot.
I think, you know what? I think the reason why I keep on forgetting about it is because I don't want to remember Randy Savage in this capacity.
Well, the thing is, like, I think I forget it because I forget it happens at Victory Road, just in general. Like, in my memory, I'm not going to say much further than that. We will see. But I think of a different moment.
Right.
And so I forget that this is the big thing. But it did happen. And it was pretty freaking cool. So.
Yeah. I would assume, so coming out of the pay-per-view, and I apologize as if this is a longer-winded opening, but
well,
we are coming after the pay-per-view.
We did mention that we're gonna kind of talk a little bit more about it, the pay-per-view and stuff like that. So I mean, here we are.
I gotta add, and I think I asked this on one of the other episodes out of Victory Road, but as a TNA fan, viewer, critic, whatever you want to call it, I would have to think the expectation coming out of Victory Road is that Randy Savage is going to wrestle Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, I think that's a very clear observation. And realistically, if you're looking at, you know, the TNA roster, okay, I do think Monty Brown deserves a freaking shot. He's deserved it for months. But now you're looking at some very big name stars that have just 3 mega stars just made their, well, one made their return, Scott Hall, but Kevin Nash and Randy Savage and Scott Hall essentially all returning or making their debut on the same night is like insane.
Right.
And it kind of is like, wow, Monty Brown, I think we'll get to you soon, even though you waited plenty long enough. And I personally think it should have happened already. But I think we kind of need to get this Randy Savage thing in.
Yeah.
Especially in these beginning 3-hour shows. I mean, this one, I would say the big draw was to try to get more people in was, okay, we got Kevin Nash and Scott Hall going to be on the show. People are like, what? Like, that's crazy. So now the next one's got to be Randy Savage versus Jeff Jarrett for the NWA title in TNA.
Right. Do you think that there's a potential here, and I think even as we continue on later on in TNA, that this will be kind of a criticism to maybe look back at, but are we debuting too many of these big names at roughly the same time? I mean, Nash and Hall are coming in. They haven't wrestled yet. Savage is coming in. Johnny B. Bad. It's not on the same level, but they're all like WCW guys. Lex Luger was on fucking Best Damn Wrestling Show.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up too.
You know, all these guys, but like they haven't even done anything, and they're not letting it breathe. So a guy like Randy Savage, as crazy as it sounds, we forget because it's like all these other guys are coming in at the same time.
It's true. And I do think, there's definitely a lot. I think to me, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, the way they worked that makes sense to me, because it was obviously part of the bigger story of like whose side are they on, and like they got these guys in the corner. The Luger like one-off appearance was like really weird in that interview, because that's another guy where it's like we've seen him before on the weekly shows, and like I was never thought I'd see his face again, and there he was in an interview. Johnny B. Bad is like another one where it's just like so random that I almost think that with Johnny they don't really look at it like that. They're just like, oh, here's trying to be bad. Whereas we're like, oh shit, this is like crazy. Like, why is this dude down here? And he's like working. So it's weird that I think it's, I mean, within like 3 weeks we've had all these people show up. It's a lot.
Right, and then but then you also can incorporate guys from Mexico, Japan, like LA Park and Psicosis.
Right, and we can't forget Jackie Moore, of course, as well.
Moore.
I mean,
right.
and that's like a decent name as a surprise too. So yeah, dude, there's a lot. I mean, Spanky just made his debut. He's not as big, of course, but same idea.
No, but it's the same idea. You have all these new characters coming in. And you're
Spanky, Psicosis. You said LA Park. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest. Yeah,
it's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot going on, man. I don't know. Once we kind of get into the notes here, which we'll be doing momentarily, I'll just warn you. Unfortunately, there's not really an observer coverage of it. So we don't. Our deep dive is kind of the deep dive on Victory Road that we're gonna mostly talk about. There's a few small things, but unfortunately, it like skips a date, and I think and of course, that means we're missing out on our thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, and the observer.
Right.
So we don't really have too much else to talk about. But we'll kind of dive in there momentarily more. I mean, I don't know if we really have to go over the Best Damn Sports Show cards, but I do want to mention at least we did have the 5th Ultimate X match.
Right.
And this is important because Chris Sabin defeated Primetime and Sanjay Dutt, and he is now the #1 contender for the X Division title. And the next biggest thing that happened on night 2 was, of course, Jeff Jarrett defeating Jeff Hardy essentially again, and this time it was in a steel cage.
Which blows my mind. If you're trying to get a bigger audience,
I don't know.
Jeff Jarrett go over Jeff Hardy. And I think you're trying to maybe position Jeff Hardy as your top babyface. You know, him and AJ, I would assume, are your 1, 2, and then Monty Brown probably your 3rd at this point.
Yeah.
To have him lose, and I don't think there was like overly a lot of shenanigans involved in that.
Not in that match.
No, so that's just I don't understand the approach here, the booking here.
Styles did come in at the end and jump off the cage because Hardy missed like a swanton off the top.
Right. Yeah.
So
and Jarrett might have used a chain if I'm remembering.
Yes, he did use a chain. Yes,
but I'm saying like it wasn't like 4 guitar shots.
Yeah, no. But that's really the notable stuff that came out of those shows. I mean, we had like a random flag match. Styles and Abyss had a tables match that I thought was pretty good, but they always work good together. We saw Puppet again, for the return of Puppet, which I thought was fantastic because it's Puppet. Yeah. I don't really think. Oh, and Tio was back as well. Besides that, there's a really not good match between Ron Killings and Raven on night 1.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, that wasn't good. But yeah, besides that, it was just random matches to try to feature guys. We covered those, just yesterday and the day before, if you're listening to this show on Saturday. But I think that's really all we got to cover about that. I think I have a brief note on that too. So I guess without further ado, let's get into some notes, Bob. And I got some stuff that we'll save during the show as well, because I knew we were kind of going to have a decent opening discussion here. So let me get to the Best Damn Sports Show note first, just because, I think I want to get past it at this point. Dave Meltzer writes, so for reference, this observer is November 22nd, so we skipped the other week. So that's how late we're at. But the ratings for the TNA episode of the Best Damn Sports Show period were 0.31 on November 10th and 0.35 on November 11th. The show is said to average a 0.14 or 0.15 on a usual Wednesday or Thursday, so they did double the ratings That's pretty good. TNA officials were disappointed though, as they believed that they were predicted to get a 0.5 or a 0.6. FSN officials had told them that they could average a 0.35 for the 2 dates, that they would earmark Monday nights on Best Damn Sports Show period to a weekly Best Damn Wrestling event show from 8 to 9:30 p.m. or getting the 1 hour jump on Raw and going head to head for 30 minutes with Tom Arnold, John Sally, Chris Rose, and Brian Cox involved in the promotion. Now, with the numbers coming close to that, it's still a possibility, though. So,
I don't know why they would.
That.
I don't know why they would even want to do that.
Yeah, I don't really either.
I mean, I understand that Monday is like a wrestling night, but in 2004, I don't think a lot of people are going to be like, yeah, I'll just watch TNA over WWE Raw.
Yeah,
it's kind of on fucking Fox Sports Net.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Dave also goes on to say that he thought that the Best Damn Wrestling event period segments were a major positive overall, which is interesting if you actually watch it, because they just shit on wrestling the whole time. But he does say the Best Damn Sports Show period crew being there gave TNA a major league feel, and the production was first rate. But he does note that Tom Arnold was the only one who came across like it was beneath him, clowning around, but it was the same. It was the same way the early Saturday Night Main Event show comedy segments were. Most of the matches were very quick, and on the first night they shot a bunch of angles to build for the second night. And of course, we mentioned the Ultimate X, which Dave notes was fantastic. And a match like that inherently is a stunt show, but they came up with great stuff off the high wires. And Dave says that he gave that one 4 stars, which I believe we did mention on the previous show. So, pretty big. And he was even saying that Tom Arnold doing announcing cutaways couldn't hurt the match, even though it would have been better without it. Because remember, they kind of kept cutting him in during that Ultimate X match.
Right, for his incredibly witty one-liners.
Mm-hmm. Including the one where he says he referred to the 3 guys as, and this is quoted from Tom Arnold and the Observer, the white guy, the black guy, and the Indian guy. Yeah. So if you didn't know what Tom Arnold was acting like, that pretty much sums that up for you.
You know, in 2022 standards, I don't think that type of comment would fly, today. So if like people gave him shit, he'd be like, "Well, you guys don't know comedy."
Yeah,
that's funny.
Right, and he pretty much, it's obviously a lack of respect in general, and Dave even notes that as well. So it was known that it was just shitty stuff then too, really, but it definitely wouldn't be flying now. And Dave does also say that he thinks there's too much of the wrestling is fake stuff on both nights, which I think is pretty, we can agree on. And I think there was the really bad segment that Tom Arnold did interviewing fans, like, for example, asking him which is more fake wrestling or Pam Anderson's boobs. Mm-hmm. And basically just shitting all over the wrestling fans and stuff. I don't know. I thought it was bad luck, but whatever.
Well, like Chris Rose did a lot of the wrestling's fake thing, but he was doing it as like a character.
I think his was, yes, it was more like that's a character we want to hate him. Tom Arnold was being a dick.
Yeah, Tom Arnold was like, "Oh, that doesn't hurt," or like even that looks like it hurts, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, don't take me out of a fucking show at the moment. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, don't fucking throw it in my face.
Right. And as we mentioned, that Hardy Jarrett main event on the next note, Dave said that it was good. Hardy missed that swanton off the cage, and him standing up there looked scary as hell. Jarrett used the chain, as Bob noted, for the pin, and post-match Styles came off the cage as well. And Dave also notes that the funniest thing on the show was a long rundown of the top 5 finishers. The hottest finisher in the business, the Canadian Destroyer, was ranked only number 5. And what was number 1? He says, "Do you have to ask?" Of course. The Stroke. You gotta love it.
Well, here's the thing. And, if you were to ask Jeff Jarrett that on his My World podcast, you know what he's going to say. Connie, how many NWA World titles did the Destroyer win?
Oh man,
0. The
That'd be so
stroke,
bad.
baby.
That'd be
I've
so
won
bad.
a few titles. WCW title, the Intercontinental title. Come on, Connie.
Crazy.
That's what you do.
As far as Victory Road stuff, I'm gonna be going to Alvarez, which he actually does not say as shitty stuff as you normally would think, because Dave doesn't really talk about it, which is unfortunate, but is what it is. Alvarez notes that in the November 15th Figure 4 wrestling article that the reaction that we got was generally favorable. Nobody thought it was a blowaway show, but he also says, luckily for TNA, WWE has put on some shitty and forgettable pay-per-views over the last 6 months or so. And of course, he says, though, that the bad news, of course, is that the main event angle is right out of 2000. And 2000 was the point where WCW was on its own victory road toward Valhalla, is what he says. The good news is that both the Gauntlet and the X Division title matches were said to be very exciting. Now, this is important to note that he does say earlier in this section that he did not see the pay-per-view himself. So he's going by word of mouth.
Okay, that's fine. But if there's anything trashing it by him, we got to take that with a grain of salt because he didn't see it.
Right. And that's why he luckily does. I mean, at least in these parts I'm pointing out, he does say they were said to be, or what he heard.
But but here's another thing though. I don't even know. Unless I've seen the show, I don't know if I'd report what other people say, because other people that may hate the product will just tell you a lie and have you spread it to however many people get a newsletter, and then those people are like, well, these people don't like it, why would I watch it?
Right.
That's why it's very important to have a level of integrity when you do these reviews or whatever, because there are going to be people. It's like movies. If you look at reviews and reviewers like, this movie sucks, don't watch it. I might not go to the theaters, and then I'll buy it or rent it or something, and they go, wow, that's actually a good movie.
Yeah, I'm dealing with that with a video game I got right now. I'm telling you, people were shitting all over it. I'm having a great time.
It's a Batman one.
It's the Gotham Knights video game, yes.
There were people. I've heard nothing but good things about this. I think
like IGN gave it like a 5 out of 10, and like there's a lot of like people being like, this is like such a shitty game and blah, blah, but like it's a lot of fun, and I think most people who actually play it have been enjoying it. So it's just one of those weird things. But regardless, Alvarez goes on to say, long story short, most of the feedback we received was not from people saying they hated the show and that they would never buy it again. Therefore, I think this means a good number of them will give the December show a try. And now the thing is that they need to shoot for a home run show every single month without fail. The situation is too tenuous right now for them to have even one bad show. So overall, people are saying Victory Road was a good show. I think we both said we enjoyed it as well, if I remember correctly, Bob.
I would say that show was better than I remembered when I originally watched it.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, there's the things we don't like. We don't like the Hardy thing, where we were disappointed with America's Most Wanted Triple X, but things happen. It's not, their fault, really. Yeah, I think overall it was a very good show. Now, one more interesting note that came out of Victory Road weekend. If you remember, Bob, they had the total non-stop action event where you could meet wrestlers and all that kind of stuff. They tried to make a whole weekend out of it. And we're gonna talk more about this in coming weeks as well. There's more stuff that goes into this, but it's noted that most of the guys who did the day-long meet and greet before the pay-per-view, which the fans loved, by the way, were paid as little as $20 for the day, and even some of the group's bigger names were paid that. He says, suffice to say, they were not pleased.
They were not pleased with what?
Getting paid $20 for the whole day of doing the meet and greet.
The wrestlers?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Even some of the bigger name guys were getting paid $20.
$20. Okay. That's fucking hilarious. How long was the thing?
I don't know if I have I don't think I have full information about that. What I will say, I'll give you a little bit of a teaser, Bob. Because we're not going to talk about this for 2 weeks more, because the way the note works, it kind of plays off of our next episode. So I'm gonna hold off in case there's spoilers. But basically, it was said that you'd be getting paid based on how many photos you sold. How many 8x10s. That being said, someone in particular sold almost all of them and still did not make that much money. So, well, I don't want to hold teaser, but I also don't want to spoil stuff. So I'm going to hold off on talking about that much further, but we're going to dive real deep into that soon. Let me see what else I got here for pre-show notes. Scrolling. Got shit going on. Last rating that we got from the October 29th show did a 0.18 rating, bringing the overall average down to a 0.20. That's what that's noted there. But also, I have a rating for the November 5th Impact show, and that did a 0.18. And then that brought the average slightly up to a 0.21. This is Alvarez, if you couldn't guess by how much he's talking about the average of ratings. Jeff Jarrett was on Between the Ropes Radio, and we were just talking about Lex Luger, but guess what? He said there's no plans to use Lex Luger at this time. And we actually talked recently because he was backstage, but he did not make a good impression at all a few weeks ago when he showed up backstage, which is probably when they filmed that interview for the Best Damn Wrestling Event period. He'd been telling everyone that he was clean and ready for a new start. But then he didn't exactly show up in the best condition. He was asked to go back to the hotel, and they found him that night in the bar.
Well,
so,
addiction's a hell of a thing.
Yes, it is. It's not good.
It's really not. And the thing too, I understand maybe wanting to use Luger because he's a recognizable name, whatever the case is, but he would be a guy that, and I mean, when he did come in, he did lose to AJ Styles.
Mm-hmm.
He was pinned. That should be the role for like any match that he does.
Right.
But I can't envision him losing to, Monty Brown. He should. But I mean, Lex Luger taking the pounce.
Right. I actually have one more thing on Victory Road. I was going to hold on to it, but I figure then this kind of wraps up most of our Victory Road talk. And it's about the early estimate on the buys. Bob, would you like to take a guess on the early number?
Okay, now, early number.
Let's keep in mind, weekly shows, sometimes they weren't even hitting 2,500.
Right. And then I'm not going to say the name of the pay-per-views, but I know like the highest they ever do is like 50,000. That's what, according to Jarrett, at least, like all-time pay-per-views. So I'm going to say that, you know what? You saying they didn't get to 2,500 makes me feel like it's fucking embarrassingly low. And I was one of those numbers.
Bob helped with this.
I did. I was part of the number. I'm going to say, okay, it's a fucking 3-hour show. We have TV. I'm going to say 15,000.
Well, the first cable industry estimates for Victory Road on November 7th.
I'm sorry.
We're just over 30,000 buys.
Wow.
Which would make this the most successful pay-per-view the company has ever done.
Okay, I'm not embarrassed by that.
That's not bad, man.
I'm glad I was part of the 30,000. Potentially over 30,000 people. Households.
Right.
All right, good. Yeah. See, I know what I'm doing. I know what it's good to buy a show. I was supporting them.
There you go. Good. That's all that matters.
Now the real test, Dallas. So that's the first monthly 3-hour show. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to Turning Point, that's really when you're going to gauge what people thought of Victory Road. Like, did they leave happy?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, after the show's over and you're at home, you're like, oh, what the fuck, man? I just waste $30? Or are they going to be like, yeah, man, hell yeah, Randy Savage and Jeff Jarrett. The next, I'm going to watch that, or whatever matches are going to be. Right. Well, I mean, we know one, Sabin and PD, but give me a break. The main event matches.
Right. Yeah, I'm really curious as we move forward how it's going to look. And I'm glad we're kind of going to get like estimates of buys and stuff for this, because like a lot of the Impact ratings are not necessarily even accurate. We're kind of just getting like early numbers and stuff, and we don't really know. But
yeah, I mean, I don't even know how many of the pay-per-views I would even know what their rough estimate is.
Right.
So, yeah,
It's a
no,
big
that's
mystery.
cool.
Bob, I have one more note. I was going to save it, but it's a little bit longer, and I think it's going to be a really good talking point to end us on before we kick off this episode of Impact. So I'm
Okay.
giving it to you now. There was this is going to be like, this is mind-blowing to me. I'll just open with that. There was a big issue backstage at Victory Road with two people.
There was an issue backstage with two people at Victory Road.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you like to just take one guess at who these two people could be?
Are they friends?
No.
No, they're not friends. Okay, I'm gonna say Kid Kash is one. Am I right?
No.
Fuck. How was it fucking Raven?
No, but I do have actually something about Raven. I think that's on. I think that might be either during the show we'll talk about or next week.
Roddy Piper.
Nope. Okay.
I'm
just
kidding.
kidding.
No, don't even dare. They were on the pay-per-view.
One of them was.
One of them was on the pay-per-view. The other one wasn't.
The other one's not even with the company.
The other one's not even with a fucking company.
Yeah, that's fine.
Billy Gunn.
No, but dude, you're giving away my shit. We're gonna talk about Billy Gunn. I think next week.
Shit. Okay. Fuck. Who the?
I think next week.
Who could be causing problems at Victory Road? Matt Hardy.
No. Okay, I gotta give it to you, Bob.
Yeah,
you're struggling here.
I'm not gonna go.
Well, there's an issue backstage with the Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan.
Okay.
And you're thinking
Dallas. I asked if they were friends, and they are. The Mega Powers.
They are not friends at this time. Now you're probably wondering why the fuck was Hulk Hogan backstage at Victory Road?
That is a great thing. I didn't know that.
Right. Well, Hogan showed up at the pay-per-view with Brian Knobbs after Bob Carter gave him an invite. Now, Savage was unaware that this was going to happen. And if you recall, last year, Savage accused Hogan of course, being scared in a rap song. And he challenged him to a fight in the song. I highly recommend the Macho Man rap album if you haven't listened to it.
It's good.
It's
It's a good album.
So Hogan went up to Savage, and they had a confrontation. Now, most sources indicate that it was Hogan trying to smooth things over and offering to work together to make money, while Savage wanted nothing to do with him. So anyway, Hogan stayed and watched the show, and Savage quit. Now, according to one source, he claimed that Hogan told him he was coming in with Goldberg and Steve Austin to take over, so Savage might as well not bother coming back. Now, nobody believes this story, especially since Steve Austin hates the Jarretts with such a passion. There's probably less than a zero chance of him ever coming in. Plus, Goldberg and Austin aren't even on speaking terms right now.
Okay.
But then, a few days later, after everyone had lost respect for Savage, he announced that he's going to come back. And he said he had some stuff he wanted to settle with Hogan in the ring and not in the dressing room. And so I believe what happened is he quit at Victory Road, and then things are kind of getting smoothed over in the days that follow. Because we are going to talk a lot more about this situation.
Okay.
But
could you imagine, that Hulk Hogan, Goldberg, and Steve Austin came into TNA, and then Impact was still getting like a 0.12 rating? Could you imagine that?
Dad. No, I can't.
Because here's the thing, TNA probably wouldn't even advertise it. So the first episode in which they all appeared on, it would probably be like, so Goldberg, Steve Austin, and Hulk Hogan came out as the new NWO, and it got a 0.12.
It's fucking crazy.
And then
I don't know, man.
I believe Hogan, the part of Hogan being like, hey, let's make money. I can see that. That's wrestler shit. But what's funny is like Savage has all these issues, and he never beat Hulk Hogan. He never pinned Hulk Hogan. So I'm sure that Hogan would be like, hey, Macho, let's do this. But like, brother, I got to go over.
I got to go over. It's our story.
It's our story. And then Macho would probably be like, okay. Yeah, you're right. Fuck me. I should never get a win. Who cares?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's really wild to me, once again, that Hulk Hogan was backstage at Victory Road. Just like watching the show. Just chilling.
Oh, yeah.
especially after he essentially bailed on the company. But yeah, that's a situation we will be assessing more, I believe, in about 2 weeks,
Well,
just due to some things that are going to be happening over the next show here today and next week's episode. But
right. And the thing with Hogan though, like, ditching the company back in 03 or bailing on them in 03 or whatever. He's the amount of money that he's made for various wrestling promotions to this point.
mm-hmm.
And considering TNA has never seen that type of money to this point or ever, even at the slightest hope of him ever wanting to work there, they're probably going to be like, yeah, you can just like bail on us all the time. But like, just the idea of potentially working with you, we're going to take that chance.
Yeah, no, that would make sense though to me.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff, man.
Hey, brother, you might as well not even come back because Bill and Steve are coming in with me, and we'll take it over.
I like that everyone's like, yeah, we don't believe that story. And it's like,
No,
if you read that,
no.
that sounds like such bullshit.
Can you, like, Steve Austin, like, retiring from wrestling and not doing a WWE match ever again, but then it's like, the TNA? All right.
Well, the Goldberg thing is actually kind of interesting to me because they were showing the clip a lot of him on the Best Damn Sports Show period during the wrestling events that we just saw. Like, they showed those like 4 times. So,
Yeah.
Is that a hint that they actually maybe were trying to get Goldberg in at this time? There's going to be multiple times in the future where it's very clear that they're trying. Yeah. But
I think Goldberg would have, out of all of the names, would have been a more likely guy to come in. Especially later on when they got on a bigger network, and that network is paying most of the salary for bigger names.
It's actually kind of mind-blowing that it didn't happen during that time, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's like one person that doesn't like us talking about future stuff, and sorry, YouTube commenter.
Hey, we still like our YouTube friends.
I'm not saying I hate the person. I'm just saying I'm sorry because, it's been 18 years.
Sometimes it's tough, I know.
Sometimes, context and stuff you want to talk about, you got to just say it because, it happens. But, when they get on a bigger network and they're taking guys from WWE, and let's say, I mean, I don't remember the figures here, but it was definitely high 6 figures, right? For like,
I think
those guys. Let's say it was like $500,000. Do you think Goldberg is fetching more than $500,000 a year for the amount of time that he would work? Because like one guy that I'm referencing might have won a gold medal. He would wrestle like, every TV taping.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And pay-per-views. So every TV taping, you do 2 shows a shot. That's 26 there. And then pay-per-views, you're looking at like, what, 50? 48, 38 times probably, roughly?
Yeah.
And including house shows that he did?
That's a really good, that's a good point.
Goldberg's probably like, hey, man, I'll work 8 dates. And all pay-per-views. And that's not even every pay-per-view of the year.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned 8 dates. Keep that number in mind.
Fuck. Okay. Well.
Dude.
Am I
I'm telling you,
wavelength with you tonight?
I don't know. I just gotta say, I mean, in the next couple weeks, leading up to Turning Point, is going to be, I think, a wild ride with our notes, and I can't wait to see how things reflect on the shows. I mean, I think we're hitting a point where things are going to get crazy.
Well, and I think, again, with the context you have to look at, you're bringing in so many different personalities.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy.
Time. And they're all big. They're big names. They've had big moments in wrestling. This isn't like bringing in, I'm trying to think of it, like Jimmy Rave. Jimmy Rave isn't going to cause waves, or Matt Sydal. I mean, I know that both those guys have recently been on the show, but I'm saying as an example,
right?
I mean, they're not gonna freaking cause a stir. But when you bring in
Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Randy Savage, and you already got Jarrett there,
Luger, Jarrett. I mean, come on, these guys all have a mindset. You go take a guy from Ring of Honor, he's just gonna want some money. He wants to make a living. But these guys are going to be more worried about their creative and all this other how can I get the strap and all these other things. But,
Yeah. We'll be talking about money for a lot of guys too. I think during the show.
Can't wait to hear
Dude,
that.
I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff going on. Some really
I
good
believe
stuff. But I think that wraps up everything pre-show that we need to discuss before we kick off this episode of Impact. I do think that this episode of Impact is going to be crazy because we are coming off this huge, epic 3-hour pay-per-view. And like, I just think anything could happen on this show.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're coming off a pay-per-view, I always feel like that next show really kind of tells you what to expect at the next pay-per-view,
Right?
like where they're kind of going in. So if this is a episode where they set up some really good things, the next 4 or 5 weeks of Impact should be pretty intriguing. But if they're going in a direction that it's like, oh boy, I don't know if I want to do that, the next 4 or 5 weeks could be real bad.
Right. And I'm gonna say it, like, this might come off bad. I kind of hope this is a segment heavy show. I want to know what some of these guys are going to say and what they're going to do. So I feel like, to me, I want this to be fairly segment heavy to drive those stories.
I think that if you're going to have a segment heavy show, it should be the one out of the pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Because that's to set up your angles, your interviews, the context, the beef.
Right. Real quick before we hit this play button, we do got to talk Explosion before I forget, because there's going to be way too much going on at this show to try to squeeze it in, I think. Explosion number 103 was taped on, well, it was actually taped on, I think, November 9th is when they did the taping for this, but it aired on November 13th, 2004, and it featured 4 matches. D-Ray 3000 and Shark Boy defeated Kid Romeo and Mark Stevens. Sanjay Dutt defeated Cassidy O'Reilly. So he haven't heard that name in a while here in TNA. America's Most Wanted defeated the New York Connection. And Abyss defeated Scotty Matthews.
Interesting.
So, I mean, nothing mind-blowing, but...
well, it's funny you mentioned Jackie Moore with AMW, and they fought NYC in the tag match.
There we go. That's a good point. I didn't even make that connection, but...
Yeah, that could be
time. And we're back to having crowd numbers, so I can't wait. Let's go.
Okay. Here we are. We are on the November 12th, 2004 edition of TNA Impact. The runtime for this is 50:06, which is, I think, a minute or two longer than previous ones. So who knows? Maybe that's just more shit, or is this more ads for turn?
Either way.
Yeah, either way, it's just longer. I'm going to count down from 3 when I say play. That is when you're going to want to hit the play button if you want to watch along. Head over to Impact Plus, or if you're like me, it's in your own personal collection. That works as well. And so here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
Well, we got that intro. This is TNA, the new face is professional wrestling. And it's got the same guys. No, Raven arguing with Zbyszko, calling him an arrogant piece of filth.
He's choking.
He wants a rematch with Monty Brown. Oh, it's going on tonight. Raven gets a rematch against Monty Brown tonight. The age of apocalypse is upon us. Go to Raven nevermore!
That's funny. He's going nuts. Shouldn't he have been choking like Dusty or something?
Wow, that's a really good point, because I didn't think the championship committee is like a thing anymore.
Yeah, like what is Zbyszko doing making matches? I thought that was Dusty's gig.
Whoa, that's weird. I didn't make that connection. Bob, we still got a shitty song to open the show.
That's a bummer.
I'm not changing our podcast to open until they get a better song. I'm not.
Is the graphics though different? Like the guys are doing stuff?
I'll be honest, I wasn't paying too much attention.
Okay. I mean, it did look different. I'm gonna say there's 400 people before you ask me.
Okay, well there is.
Oh, okay.
Who is talking? Is it Don West?
Don.
His
That's
voice,
Don.
his hoarse. He's like,
oh yeah. Yeah, it's definitely
poor guy. He's screaming too much Victory Road. He lost his voice.
Well, he's had 5 shows or whatever in 4 days. he's gonna be.
He has had a lot.
The Best Damn Sports Show was like a week and a half ago, but whatever.
That's still a lot at one time.
Yeah.
Okay, we're starting off with Mike Tenay in the middle of the ring.
Is it gonna be Dusty?
He said the new era in TNA has arrived. That's right, Dusty. We didn't say that. Dusty is the winner of the DOA thing. So Vince Russo is gone.
If I'm starting the show, I'm bringing out Nash, Hall, and Jarrett. You have to, right? Yeah, you have to.
He's going through the rundown. Speaking of Vince Russo, though, I don't know when there's a better point to talk about this besides him just bullshitting us. So he did an interview for Blake Norton's Bagpipe Report the day after the pay-per-view, which is an odd thing for a guy who just retired from wrestling to do, is what Alvarez says. Russo was unprepared for the wrestling questions and only wanted to talk about God. At the same time, they ran out of time talking about wrestling and were planning to continue the interview. But the main point that Russo brought up was his booking was the way more believable than anyone else's. And on that note,
here we go. Jeff Jarrett.
Jeff
Hall and Nash coming out with him. Oh, I saw a second head. That's got to be Hall behind him. I think the first one's Hall. It looks like slick hair.
Yeah, it is.
And there's Nash. Yeah, see, okay. This is good. This is exactly how you need to do it.
This is wild.
I'm just trying to picture myself at home watching this on a Friday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
You get home 3 o'clock Friday afternoon. Here comes Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah, dude. Like what? Here's the thing. I remember I would watch Impact with my buddy Anthony, who has listened to the Chris Harris interview and commented on our Facebook. So hello, Anthony, out there, my good pal.
Thanks for listening.
If he is listening to the show, probably not. Don't blame him. But yeah, I remember just watching like in his basement, watching Impact at 3 o'clock, and our friends would be like, "Let's go play football." And we'd be like, "Guys, hang on, we gotta watch Impact till 4, and we'll go out and play basketball."
Oh, but I'm the bad one for leaving the birthday party.
That's different, dude. That's a birthday party like 9 in the afternoon, 9 at night. This is just,
I was tired. I had to watch TNA.
This is just a little bit of rest. Watch some Impact, and then we'll go out
and then play some flag football with the buds.
No, we'd play tackle.
Oh, is that why you're all fucked up?
Yeah. There was one time before they started talking that I was playing football. Playing football. I was tackling my buddy Ryan, and every time I tackled him, I punched him in the fucking balls on accident. Every time. He's like, "Why are you doing that?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm just trying to tackle. I don't mean to hit you in the nuts." Yeah. He got mad. He was pissed.
Hey-o. Okay, here we go.
Hey-o.
Now, Mike, here's a recap.
I don't know if we've mentioned. Did Hall have his hair colored at the pay-per-view?
Yes, he did.
He did? Okay.
Not in the videos leading up to.
Not the videos, right.
Oh, there's another party come up. He goes, oh, and Tenay goes, yeah, December 5, Turning Point. Hey, Kev, you busy December 5th? Looks like I am now. Scott Hall says he's free.
Shazam.
I wouldn't miss it from my world for nothing. Thanks, Tom. Well, you heard it here. They're all going to be at Turning Point. Kevin Nash has got the mic now. Oh. This is going to be completely foreign to me because no one handed me a script before I walked through the curtain. So I guess I get to say whatever I want to. Now, I'm getting the vibe before he fully gets into this, in the video he sent stuff, that he does not give two shits. And I have a feeling this is going to be not a great promo, but let's see. Because I like Kevin Nash, so.
I do too.
Let me give you guys a little history story, a little lesson. He's going to go way before Jeff Hardy was born. 1993.
Way before Jeff Hardy was even 11 years ago.
You got a phone call for Shawn Michaels. Yeah, Diesel was born. Couple of J. Browns opening match guys drinking beers up and down the road, Scott Hall.
The fact that he would suggest that Jeff Hardy is not even 11.
Talking about the Click. Shawn Michaels, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Triple H, and X-Pac. And of course, Six is not here with us right now.
TNA with a scowl.
We had all the belts. We held all the power. He's talking about them being the most hated guys. And most importantly, we made all the money. Round of 96. The year that made Austin want to end IcoPod for good.
Yeah, well, he's saying that he was a world champion in 96. That's not correct. He was champion in 95.
Oof.
Right. Yeah, so he's got his years a little messed up.
That's fine.
He also claims that he saw Vader in the Orndorff fight, even though he was not in WCW.
He's talking about him and Scott Hall being reunited on June 12th. He's calling Jeff Jarrett one of his running mates. Hell of a big drinker in his own right. I believe Jarrett is sober now.
Yes, he is.
I think he said, which is good. Went down to Atlanta. Hey, I think one of us was booking for a while, and he stands up and looks around. I think that Kevin Nash excels in promos when he gets to make fun of people.
Oh, yeah.
But like not like this where he's like trying to like tell a story. Oh, okay, someone must have been yelling at him to wrestle, and he goes, "Son, if you're telling me to wrestle, you haven't watched much of my career. I just take all the money. I let someone else wrestle in the first match." Jesus Christ.
That's funny.
You're looking at a new unit. Okay, so Bob, we have the official name here of this group. The Kings of Wrestling.
That's not Claudio and Chris Hero.
See, but I don't like the way he like just said it. It's okay, you see this unit? This unit's called the Kings of Wrestling. Look at today. You got a good attitude, you won't soon. We're gonna bring it down. We're gonna tear this place down, make you hate being in this business, and run you out of here. And guess what? That's right. We'll own TNA. How ironic that Jeff Jarrett is in the group and he sold most of his share.
He's still a minority owner, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so, but now he tells TNA to get over here so he can finish the interview. And now Kevin Nash is going to Scott Hall, whispering in his ear, probably saying, "That fucking sucked."
I lost track of what I was talking about.
Well, now that we know they are officially the Kings of Wrestling, all I'm going to say about that is there's some vignettes coming up that I can't wait to see again.
Oh, God, yeah.
Look at Scott Hall's grabbing the guitar and playing that.
Are they going to hit TNA with it?
No way. Talking about Randy Savage walking down the aisle, the Macho Man. But when the cameras run off, he was left in a pool of his own blood in the back lot. Haven't been seen or heard from since. Now, Bob.
Do they have to do that because he quit? To say that? So, like, they don't know at this point, like, if he's coming back.
Mm-hmm. They're talking about Hulk Hogan. When he saw Hall and Nash, he ran so quick that he couldn't get in his Mercedes fast enough to get back to Tampa. Talking about Sting, he's going to keep himself in Venice Beach. Dude. He says every free agent is available, is welcome to come in. But you're looking at the hottest free agents, which is weird because Jarrett is not a free agent. He hasn't been for 2 years. Before we leave the Impact Zone today, we're going to take out 2 of the top dogs.
BG James and Conan.
What? Welcome to Planet Jarrett. Oh, he gave us a final global warning. Wow, Bob. Okay, his music plays. What do you think about this? We are, by the way, 12 minutes, 30 seconds into this show.
Okay, so a couple of things. Number one, and when I say they, Hall and Nash, it just came across so old to me in that segment.
Yeah.
And then another thing is like they're mentioning all these guys, Savage, Hogan, Sting, whatever. And like if you really think about it, Goldberg, whatever, like that's the core of WCW. Why? So if I'm like, Bob Carter or whatever, like why not just restart with like all these big name WCW guys? But here's the thing: the one thing that you can do, but in order to do it, they have to lose to your talent, and that's the problem with a lot of wrestling companies. That they don't do that.
Right.
And then that's how there's no growth.
Oh, yeah, I know. I agree totally with that. And we're getting highlights from the X Division Gauntlet. During this, Bob, I don't know how much we're going to see him more, and this is a great opportunity. Jeff Jarrett did one other interview with Alex Marzvez. A couple highlights from that. He notes that exposure has always been their biggest battle. The buy rate goes along with the advertising and exposure and growth of the company. After the first show, we'll get a set of numbers that we can gauge the buy rate info and level of success that we had. We're coming into an unknown number, and it's a shot in the dark to everyone. So this is before this is when he was asked about, especially the buy rate of the pay-per-view. He also says, quote, by the end of the first quarter next year, I would be surprised if we weren't running house shows. Oh, and we're getting more highlights from Victory Road of when Scott Hall came out, because they said Kevin Nash wasn't there. Jeff Jarrett also says regarding short-term and long-term goals, the short term is to have a super Victory Road event, buy rate aside, whatever that number is. So I'm assuming that this is just really close to this time. We should be able to better judge the December event a lot more after that. That's the cold, hard fact of it, he says. In the long term, it would be increasing our awareness and exposure through our distribution partners, the cable and satellite guys, as well as our impact and explosion television shows, getting on better time slots with more viewers. That's our main goal. So basically, he says what is pretty factual of we need to get seen more. And here comes the 3 Live Crew.
The new tag team champions. With the gold. Indie notes, because it's been several episodes since I've even had the opportunity to do that. Conan, he teamed up with Juventud Guerrera and Psicosis on October 30th for UPW in Nevada to defeat the trio known as Team University, which was Andrew Hellman, Antonio Mestre, and Sean Riddick. And I don't think any of those guys would be known as anybody else. And right, yeah. So that's just a random tidbit there. And then PG James didn't do anything, so don't worry about that.
We're doing our microphone open here during our indie notes. The new tag team champions of the world. Not 1, not 2, but the 3 Live Crew. Now I'm assuming, yes, I do see the enhancement talent ringside.
Right.
So we're continuing our trend of no entrances for them. If you're wondering who they're fighting, it's Jason Static, Justin Cage, and Scotty Matthews.
Yep.
Who also had an explosion match.
Oh, right, that's right. And I believe that I'm looking this up now. I think all 3 of these guys, and as soon as I say that, I'm wrong. But wait, am I wrong? Okay, so Scotty Matthews had done some CZW And by some, I mean one. That was the quickest match in the history of.
Dude, it was a 30-second match. But wait a second. We didn't even get to talk about the match. I mean, they did like a high kick, like heart attack kind of thing. So Ron Killings did his high heel kick. A hockey stick was just broken over the back of Conan. Team Canada is destroyed. Okay, and on Ron Killings and on BG James. So Bobby Roode, Eric Young, and Scott D'Amore are taking out 3 Live Crew right now.
Yeah, they're just destroying them. Basically, those enhancement guys, you could see them for USA Pro in like 2003. That's literally all I was going to say. So.
No, and here comes Larry Zbyszko with the championship committee.
I didn't even finish my sentence with these guys.
Wow, dude, I can't believe how quick that just was. Here's a limo. Who was in it?
JBL. Bum, 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 bum,
Okay. Well, we got another highlight thing, so here's another note for you, Bob.
Okay.
Actually, I'll see if I can even get to it. But in a correction from last week, TNA actually did not insist on Jushin Liger to fly to the pay-per-view on his own dime. Apparently, Liger's main complaint was the reason that he didn't show is that he felt like he belonged in a better match than the 20-man gauntlet deal. And Alvarez says, after hearing about the reaction he got at the Ring of Honor shows, he doesn't blame him. Which, fair.
He was worried about the reaction he was going to get?
No, he thought he deserved better than to be in the gauntlet.
Oh.
And because of the reaction, the good reaction he got at Ring of Honor, Alvarez agrees that he probably deserved better. Like a better spot.
Oh, yeah. Just to be, rather than be thrown in a...
Right. And Bob, I forgot we actually know this already. We are, in fact, getting the steel cage between Triple X and America's Most Wanted at
That's right.
Turning Point. Hey, another highlight. So let me give you one other thing. You mentioned Billy Gunn earlier. Wait a second.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting Sanjay Dutt talking about this. Anyway, Billy Gunn has already shown up backstage at some TNA shows. And obviously the idea here would be to bring him in to reform his team with the former Road Dogg, BG James. The problem is WWE owns a trademark for Billy Gunn and Mr. Ass. Which, makes sense.
Oh, great. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Do you think he'll just come in as Kip?
Well, they make a joke that I'm not sure if Monty Sop, which is his real name, is going to cut it. Dude, Matt Bentley, Kazarian. Wait a second.
That says Michael Shane again.
It says Michael Shane. And he's carrying a coconut. What is going on?
What are we doing? Is it Bentley or Michael Shane?
I guess we're calling him Michael Shane.
That's so fucking weird. There are here's what the fuck? LA Park and Psicosis.
And Hector
Garza.
Oh shit, dude.
All right, let me try to get these notes in real quick. October 30th, Michael Shane teamed up with Tracy Brooks to defeat April Hunter and Slick Wagner Brown at Cyberspace Halloween Horrors.
Oh.
That could be an interesting match there. Kid Kash. He lost to Jerry Lawler back on October 16th for USA Championship Wrestling, Music City Memories in Nashville, Tennessee. And then on October 30th, he lost to Bill Dundee, Memphis Wrestling Throwback Night 3, a nightmare in Memphis, Tennessee. And I think I got another guy here. Kazarian, back on October 23rd, retained the PWG title when he defeated Ricky Reyes at Use Your Illusion 4.
Kid Kash is here. I did not see him. Did we miss Kid Kash's entrance?
I'm assuming so because I only saw Shane and.
Okay, so it's Kash, Kazarian, and Michael Shane versus La Park, Psicosis, and Hector Garza.
Yeah.
Pretty fun International X Division match. And the chairman, of course, standing atop of his chair. I want to see the strut, though. I don't care about the chair. I want to see the strut. He also, La Park has a weird skirt on. I don't really like it.
Maybe it's not.
Oh, it's off now. He just took it off.
I wonder if they took out Kash, because he's a headache or whatever.
Well, the weird thing to me is that internet or I'm gonna call them Team Mexico, La Park, Hector Garza, and Psicosis. They came out and I thought I was hearing Kid Cash's song. I was really confused.
Yeah.
Almost broke Kid Cash's neck with that tilt-a-whirl slam. It almost didn't work, but they broke up the pin, and now the match is falling apart again. I need to fucking know why it's Matt Bentley or Michael Shane. Like, we need to pick.
Yeah, I don't know. When I saw him on that cyberspace show as Michael Shane, it made me wonder maybe they just went back to it. Because I don't really remember him as Matt Bentley till like later.
That must be what's happening. Maybe they're trying it out, but that seems like a weird time to do that. I don't know.
On a pay-per-view?
Kid Cash is the coconut dude. Right off the head of Hector Garza.
Get out of here. 1, 2.
He pins him.
So we're gonna get Kash Dutt, right? At Turning Point? That's gotta be.
I'm assuming that's what we're going, because Dutt was just talking during the package there.
Yeah. Okay, so that was the X Division 6-person tag, and they really didn't do much of anything. And they ended with a coconut shot. Oh, back to the limo. Or that's not a limo, that's just a car.
Oh. Well,
that is not a limo. That is not a limousine.
It's not a limo.
It's not a limo, and you can see through.
Oh, maybe it's a mini limo. Oh yeah, he can see through the limo. Yeah, he's in the car, like looking inside. He goes, "Yeah, like, I saw Nash Hall, but I don't know who was in this."
Yeah, it's not blacked out.
Look, here you go.
Tinted windows.
More video footage of the Total Nonstop Interaction event. There's BG James, who's very pissed about his pay. We'll talk about that soon.
I got $20. Wait, BG James is pissed about his pay? Like in general?
No, specifically about the event.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't that dude look like Teddy Hart?
With the way he had his freaking sideburns, yeah.
That's what I mean. Yeah, this is like the facial hair. I like that they had Spanky and Styles at like a thing together, as if Spanky's been there for like months and like years. He's been there for like a week and a half.
Well, they just cut to him and it looked like he like.
Yeah.
Like he was like sleeping.
Hey, if anyone has any of the if you went to the Total Nonstop Interaction and you have any signed merchandise available, hit me up. I do have a fantastic signed Turning Point 2004 poster that I believe potentially could have gotten signed at some sort of a fan event. Now, I don't know if there was one or not, but...
Where you have one?
Oh, yeah.
Have I not seen it?
I don't know. Remind me when I see you in a couple weeks, and I will show you.
You don't have it up?
No, dude. It's like a 24 by 36. It's like massive.
Oh, shit.
I bought a bundle
from everybody on the show?
Not everyone, but there's some cool ones. I know for a fact like Monty Brown's on it, which is cool because like I don't have his autograph anywhere else.
That's pretty cool. I don't know how I didn't know that. Oh, here comes Raven. We're getting our rematch.
Speaking of Raven and Conan, who we just saw, they apparently almost got into a fight backstage over something. More on that next week.
Fantastic.
Because I believe it has to go off of what happened with Conan earlier in the show. Raven is coming out like he's very hurt still from Monsters Ball. He's looking like a psycho. I'm loving the look.
There are no invites for Mr. Raven. Interesting. It always surprises me whenever Raven doesn't have a house or a independent run over the weekend.
Give Monty Brown his overdue title shot. Did you see that?
Well, it is an overdue shot.
Damn right. He should have at least got a match by now. Whether or not he won it or not, listen, I think he should, but, I understand.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the lighting during entrances and such has been improved during the show, Bob? Because I feel like they really upped it. Like, when they're coming out, the entrance stage looks way cooler.
Yeah. It doesn't feel as dark.
Yeah, it's like they added some things to the sides when people come out, like some lighting effects and stuff. So we got Monty Brown versus Raven here. These matches have been so quick tonight, we've barely been able to call any action.
No. He went for a bulldog, didn't get it. Instead, he got a knee lift. Monty Brown did a knee lift to the back. continuing to hammer it away. Do you think Raven's going to do the big old JOB on TV off of a pay-per-view?
Yeah, I do.
Is it going to be clean?
Well, not if they're kind of teasing that he's angry and stuff, he might even just get himself disqualified.
He might. Raven just hit a bulldog, and now he's face washing Monty Brown in the corner. I think that would piss me off if somebody literally just pushed me in the corner. That'd probably make me mad, even if I knew it was coming.
What the heck was that? Raven just stood him up and then got on the middle rope and then just kicked him in the face.
Yeah, it's not a bitch slap. It's like a bitch kick to the face.
Right. Crowd's very split here, chanting for both guys.
I mean, I'm not split. I feel like I'm heavily into Monty right now. I mean, I like Raven, but I feel like Raven just doesn't have a direction.
No, he doesn't.
And with Monty Brown, we kind of know, hey, he should probably go for the gold. He seems the most realistic threat outside of Jeff Hardy.
Side version leg sweep into the guardrail. They're reminding us at the top here at the Fox Box at Turning Point, December 5th on pay-per-view, which is incredibly close, Bob. We have 4 impacts, including this one right here, before Turning Point.
I didn't even think of that.
It's insane.
I didn't even realize that. I don't hate that, though.
We're going to be flying. It's going to feel like time does not exist.
Brown hammering away. I was going to say, though, just a couple moments ago when Raven did that side rushing into the railing, I think he hasn't hit that move good in 5 years. Exploder suplex there by Monty Brown.
I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a pounce here in a minute. Why did the light just change? Why does everything look different?
I don't know. Is it a red?
No, I think they went to a different camera, and it's just something looks weird. I just noticed at the top of the screen, it was really hard to see, but they had a different screen up at the top of the Fox Box.
Yeah.
It was weird. Some kind of production. So, see, it changed again. It's the saturation's down.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go, the pounce.
We knocked the ref down. I was going to say, we got 3 minutes into the match, which is one of the longer matches of the evening.
Abyss.
There's Abyss. How do you not see Abyss just casually slide into the ring?
Oh, shit, the black hole slam.
No way. Is Raven going to win?
Well, the referee is still down.
Is somebody else coming out?
Holy my God.
Shit.
It's me. It's DDP. Holy
Dallas,
shit.
This is the fucking episode I watched with Anthony. I was talking about.
He's measuring
saw him
Raven.
Come in. How does Raven not know?
The Diamond Cutter. Oh, shit, on Raven.
I fucking remember this moment.
Dude, Towel Guy was just losing his mind.
This is who's that guy?
Raven had Monty Brown in the Raven effect, but that was stopped real quick. The crowd's losing it.
I can't believe it.
He must have been who was in the limo car.
Yeah.
That's a cover for Raven. Wow, dude.
What in the world?
Talk about too many debuts.
Who the hell's that guy?
Wait, who that?
I'm sorry, behind Abyss.
That's a hooded guy.
That's got to be Mitchell, right?
It's got to be.
Hello, son. Well, he doesn't have long fingernails. Is it Dutch?
We're not gonna know. That's so dumb.
That is so crazy that I mentioned watching Impact with fucking Anthony, and this episode is DDP. I remember us fucking being like, "What the hell? DDP's here." Yeah, that's crazy.
And then you had to go play football after all that excitement.
Yeah.
What do you think, Bob?
It was probably football in November. Yeah.
What do you think about DDP being here?
I think it's too much, man. I really think it's too much.
It's a lot of WCW, you know.
In the past, so Victory Road would have been last Sunday, so that's 5 days. You Hall, Nash, Savage, DDP, Luger,
Johnny B. Bad.
I think it's too much.
We're getting his Monty Brown highlight package.
It'll be interesting to see how DDP. I mean, this is even speculating that he'll wrestle. It'll be interesting to see how he can perform. Because he retired in 2002 because of his neck.
I was just wondering about that. I was just going to look it up.
Yeah.
We have more highlight package. I'm going to give you my final note quick during this, just to kind of get it out of the way. Ron Nemi, I think is how we say his last name, of NWA Florida. Upon reading this, apparently went crazy, tearing TNA apart for claiming to be high and mighty, despite their attempts recently to begin paying enhancement talent $0 per appearance. We talked about this recently. Quote, "It was only a few weeks ago that NWA TNA decided it was no longer going to pay its enhancement talent," he wrote. Quote, "Many talents quit at this notice as simply could not afford to take off work midweek and travel to Orlando for no pay. NWA TNA still owes some of these wrestlers and referees checks for their final appearances. Checks which, as of November 12th, 2000, hey, it's a typo, as of 2005, it says, still have not been sent after several requests to do so. TNA, hold on, I lost my spot here because Chris Sabin's talking on the screen.
Sabin's saying that he knows the counter to the Canadian Destroyer. I feel like he doesn't know the counter.
No. Basically, there's no smaller guy in pro wrestling. Because basically, it says TNA can talk all they want about how WWE is a bully, and he just keeps doing. He keeps bitching about it. It's honestly the more important part right here is this guy is essentially pulling his guys from doing this because they're not getting paid.
Right, and I tend to agree with that because they should get paid.
Right, and X Division champion Petey Williams being interviewed backstage here. He's going to learn the same lesson that AJ Styles learned, that there is no
bleeding?
counter. What'd you say?
Is his lip bleeding?
Yeah.
Why does Shane Douglas always have a look of absolute confusion as to what he just heard?
I love it.
But that goes for like everybody. Like Michael Cole in the Attitude Era, somebody would cut a promo and he'd be like, "What?
Yeah.
The Rock is going to beat up Steve Austin tonight?"
Alex Shelley with this fucking awful song.
Let's see if Alex Shelley. I mean, I feel like coming off of a pay-per-view, they probably didn't do anything before, just for like injury purposes. But I feel like I still have to check.
Here comes Chris Sabin. So we're getting Sabin versus Alex Shelley. So these guys start just on our last episode of Impact. They started off a smaller gauntlet match with each other. I think it was, or no, it was a couple weeks ago. Actually, sorry, I was thinking a few weeks back.
Back on November 4th, which I guess would have been the same weekend as Victory Run. Nigel McGuinness defeated Alex Shelley for the IWA Mid-South Heavyweight title #1 contendership.
Ah.
And we'll see if Mr. Sabin did anything.
Well, here comes Petey Williams. So it looks like the story we're kind of going into with this X Division title match is that Sabin swears he knows the counter to the move, and Petey says, "No, you don't. Right. There is no counter."
Sabin wrestled on both on November 4th and November 5th. Basically both IWA Mid-South shows, and on both shows he defeated Brandon Tomaselli.
Wait a second. Very interesting. They are saying that both Sabin and Petey Williams have both trained under Scott D'Amore in the same class. That is why Sabin is saying he knows this counter. So there is a little bit of depth to that. I think I like that.
Well, I wonder what the counter is, like a low blow or something. Oh, you know what? I bet you it's a backdrop. That's the counter.
I don't know why you'd think that.
Oh, he just hit him in the nuts?
It kind of looked like it. Going for the cradle shot? No. Shelley gets out.
Pump handle.
Oh.
Pump handle twisting face buster. 2 count for Shelley.
Shelley cannot believe it. If you're following along, we're at 36 minutes, 31 seconds.
Ooh. Sabin kicks him in the midsection, goes to the middle rope. Wasn't even close to hit that. Enziguri to the side of the head. Back of the head.
And then going for the cradle shock, it looks like. And they got a nice camera angle of Petey Williams watching from on the screen there in the background. And that's a pin.
Does like locking up his feet really impact that move at all or no?
I think it helps with the cover aspect at the end because sometimes he'll just pull those in. Petey Williams hit the ring. I also think that it kind of helps him maybe from escaping as easily. Going for the Canadian Destroyer. Oh, he just dropped down and picked him up and hit the cradle shock.
Dallas, I'm shocked that they just showed him counter that on TV.
Whoa.
I did not think they were going to do that. I don't know if I would do that.
Petey Williams
kind of spoil the fact that he does know how to do it. That should have been the can he do it on paper?
The whole lead into it, yeah.
Wow,
okay.
Dude. Well, I'm surprised.
Pretty nice little transition into the cradle shock.
Yeah, no, that was better than a backdrop counter. He just dropped down and did it.
And look, Shane Douglas going to try to interview DDP. Don't stick the through my face. Come on, we've been friends a long time. Can't you give me a scoop? He goes, Raven knows exactly why I'm here.
Is that a scorpion on his shirt?
Hey, Raven, nevermore. And he gets inside of the car limo, and he leaves. Sounds like DDP and Raven have unfinished business. Bob, would you like to help us out with that? What's their unfinished business?
Well, the only unfinished business that I'm aware of is from WCW 1998 over the U.S. Championship.
So 4 years ago. No, sorry, 6 years ago. 6 years ago. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, my bad.
So
math.
Okay, we're just getting a video package, so I guess I can just try to dissect this and figure this out.
Yeah.
So Raven defeated Diamond Dallas Page at Spring Stampede 98 for the U.S. title, and then promptly lost it the next night to Goldberg on Nitro. And then Raven and Page fought at Slamboree in a Bowery cage match. It was essentially a weapons cage match, but DDP won that.
Oh.
And then I'm sure they had like matches on Thunder. And like, I don't know if they fought on Nitro again, but I'm pretty sure they had like a match or two on Thunder. So I don't know what the context would be outside of that, because there was an interaction in WWE because they were both Alliance members. So yeah, I don't know. If he's referencing beating him for the U.S. title at Spring Stampede, 1998,
you're done. That's it.
No, that would be just amazing. Hey, Raven, April 19th, 1998, Denver, Colorado. You remember it? I do. Every day. It's when you beat me for the U.S. title. I'm here for revenge. Okay.
Well, we just saw more Victory Road videos, and now I believe... Yep, Naturals.
Bum, 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 bum. The Naturals, friends of the show.
Of course. We're 40 minutes in, 40 minutes and 28 seconds. Curious what else we got left on the show. Oh, AJ Styles. Now, a reminder. The Kings of Wrestling said they were going to take out
two of the best.
Two of the best.
Yeah, that's important to remember that. Did I not mention? Okay, so the Naturals, I don't know if I mentioned this. I might as well do it again. It's important. October 16th, the Naturals won the USA Championship Wrestling tag team titles when they defeated longtime favorites of the TNA Wrestling Podcast, Chris Vaughn and Rick Santel, in 13 minutes and 25 seconds.
Do I get my card? Right here.
The fact that you have a Rick Santel card right next to you, just in the moment to showcase, is just baffling to me. But that's where we are.
Got to do what we got to do. Here comes Jeff Hardy. Mind you, this dude has been getting his ass kicked for the last 2 times we've seen him. In a cage match and in a ladder match. So
yeah,
here he is.
That's actually pretty true.
It's kind of a bummer.
No, it is. I don't think he had any indie notes here.
I feel like we're not going to get Jeff Hardy indie notes for a while. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Well, that was a quick search here. There is one in December.
Oh, okay.
But then outside of that, the next one is in November of 2005.
Yeah, I'm not surprised about that.
This is at least documented on
right
on Cage Match.
Okay, we're going to commercial. We're back, but we're seeing more of the interaction thing. So we're getting AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy, arguably 2 of the biggest in TNA, against the Naturals. So I can only take a wild guess of what's going to happen at the end of this match.
I think the Kings of Wrestling are laying out the Naturals.
Yeah. Fans are having a great time out here today. Wrestlers aren't because they're not. Look at this dude's awful facial hair. This is so bad. Look at those freaking awesome old school 8x10s that they got at the show. If you have one of those, send us a DM at Cross the Line TNA over on Twitter. We've seen this package too much already on what show.
I was just gonna say
we get one time for that was enough. The other highlights for Victory Road I get. Okay, we're back. We've already missed 7 seconds of the match, apparently, but all they did was walk around the ring, it looks like, because they didn't even hit yet.
Yeah, we got Douglas and Styles starting us off. Nope, duck the clothesline. Leapfrog.
Oh.
And float over. Chase Stevens holding Andy Douglas by the waist to prevent that. AJ Styles did have an indie note. He was also on that Halloween Horror Show on October 30th, which I'm sure I've mentioned, but I'll do it again. He defeated Jimmy Rave. I probably did mention that on the show before Victory Road. But you know what? I don't care. Now I know where I stand. So everything's fine over here. Leg drop, knee drop combo by Hardy. And AJ almost tripped over Jeff Hardy's legs.
Yeah, he did.
In there.
It's a 2 count. Thomas says no way. And Andrew Thomas being the referee just automatically screams ref bump. So.
Oh, yeah.
He is the ref bump referee. I feel like if we need one to go down, it's Andrew Thomas.
Yeah, one of my favorite ones was when he, on the weekly pay-per-views, like, he literally had to lean in to someone's, like, strike. And he was, like, out of the match. They're not even in the corner. And he's like, oh, wait, let me put my head in there. What's worse, that or when Rudy Charles had to pull himself out of the ring because Shane Douglas missed his spot?
No, that was bad. That was worse. That was worse.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. AJ going for a suplex. No. Chase Stevens ramming AJ. Here comes Douglas. Something about the Naturals I want to point out is actually, no, I haven't even told you this, Dallas. I'll tell you after the show, though. Okay. Anytime that I see the Naturals are on like an independent show, I feel like it adds to me wanting to watch the show for some reason.
I like the Naturals a lot,
but I don't think it was like that before. Like I've always thought the Naturals were like good, but when I see them, let's say against, I'm referencing like UWF TNA with Hermie. Like if it's the Naturals against Sabin and Dutt. It's like, oh, okay. That's probably a good match. It's Douglas just hit a backbreaker on AJ for a 2 count.
How many of those UWF TNA shows are there? Are there a lot?
So they started in January of 2006, and they end in May of 2008.
Oh, so there's a lot.
Well, I mean, some months there's double shots back to back. But a lot of months, it's just one. Well, actually, there's one that's a triple shot. If I had to guess, there's probably, in terms of like release shows, there's probably around 35, maybe.
Oh, okay. That's way too many. I would highly expect us to cover at least some of those as bonus episodes.
Well, Dallas, I just want to point out that while I had some, I think most of 2006 on a hard drive, I may have purchased the majority, if not all, of the shows on DVD.
Okay. Good to know. The ones we don't cover, I will be watching.
And they are master DVD copies, by the way.
Wow.
Not dubs.
The Naturals have the upper hand here. Chase Stevens on the top rope. Styles groggy to his feet.
Flying forearm. I mean, that was probably supposed to be a clothesline, but it looked like a forearm right to the forehead.
Yeah.
Chase Stevens tags out to Andy Douglas. Waiting on the top rope. Oh, went for an axe handle, but he got punched right in the midsection. Here comes Jeff Hardy.
The uncrowned WWE champion. Get out of here.
Also,
he literally
also
didn't
known
win.
as the loser.
Yeah, what? They're saying he should have won it. He had a twist of fate, then like a flatliner. That corner drop kick to Stevens. Kicks Andy Douglas in the gut. Twist of fate, but he goes on his knees because he doesn't like going down, I guess. I just saw, as a side note, that Chris Harris posted that the Naturals and America's Most Wanted are doing like a dual signing somewhere in Tennessee, and I was like, why the fuck am I not there?
Because you're not in Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm pissed.
Oh,
holy shit!
Fuck.
Styles just flew over Chase Stevens and Hardy to hit Andy Douglas. That was pretty intense.
Yeah, but he definitely missed that. Whoa!
Back body drop into the Styles Clash. Whoa!
You know, the last time I saw
finish.
something like that, well, there's 2 times. Number one, the Smoking Guns did that. Not the Styles Clash, but it was like a pile driver. A backdrop into a pile driver. Bart would do it and the guy would go to Billy, I'm pretty sure. But also the Faces of Fear. Megan Barbarian would do a pile driver, not a Styles Clash.
That was quite impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say we're going low on time, but here's the Kevin Nash's music.
Is there going to be a physical altercation, or is it just going to be like a stare down?
I don't know, dude. It kind of looks like they're gonna. Well, it's important to note: Kevin Nash and Scott Hall are coming out one side.
There's Jarrett.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Where's Jarrett coming from? I mean, Kevin Nash literally just said earlier that he... Oh, okay, there's Jarrett sliding in the back with a chair, which is weird. Usually he has a guitar, but it's fine. Oh, fuck. Headshot to Hardy. Okay, so Jarrett just took out both Hardy and Styles by himself with a chair. And Scott Hall Kevin Nash just casually get into the ring. Are we going to see
Scott Hall signaling for the outside edge. Or the edge. You know.
He just calls it the edge here, Bob. Come on. Can't say the outsiders.
Excuse me.
Of course. That's on Styles. And we're going to get the jackknife powerbomb. Boom. Both at the same time, pretty much. The Kings of Wrestling. Wait, Scott, why is Kevin Nash standing up on the middle row? And we are going off the air.
Okay, this is an obvious situation where TNA is just so different than what I think it was intended to ever be. You're closing your show with Hall and Nash standing tall, which is fine, but like DDP just came back. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. I vividly remember watching this show with my buddy Anthony. And I think when DDP came out, we were like, oh, shit, yeah, dude, DDP. I don't remember the reaction for Hall and Nash laying out Hardy and Styles. But what I will ask this, though, is, Dallas, if you were to go back in time, would you ever envision, let's say, peak Nitro, which let's say is like 97, that in 7 years, Hall and Nash would be feuding with guys named AJ Styles and Jeff Hardy?
No.
On a Friday afternoon for a company called Impact Wrestling.
No, I think that's safe to say not.
No. I don't see how realistically AJ and Jeff would overcome Hall and Nash. And even though Hall and Nash are well past their prime, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, but I guess it's hard to say. I mean, we probably are going to be feuding with them, but they haven't like come out and quite said that yet. But that's also interesting to me because, I mean, realistically, AJ Styles went back to the X division, and now all of a sudden he's like going to get involved again. I guess. I mean, I guess if we want to get real technical here, he did attack Jarrett after the steel cage match, so there is some kind of a connection there. Hardy and Styles have a past as being a team with each other, or teaming with each other, I should say. There's some things to grab onto, I guess. Do I think makes the most sense? Probably not, but at the same time, what are we gonna do?
I think for me though, I would want AJ and Jeff to go over, but for me it's like a level of just believability.
Right. No, that's definitely what's going on.
So is AJ gonna hit a Styles Clash on either? No. Hardy could hit the Swanton on one of them.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird situation.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the fan base, or not the fan base, the wrestlers in the back being kind of pissed off by this, because it's like we're reverting backwards to what killed off WCW. Like, this was supposed to be different than, not just a later version of, or lesser than WWE or whatever.
Right. Well, the thing that worries me is we thought we had a reign of terror before, as we called Jarrett's title reign. However, I think it's gonna get worse.
Oh, I don't think we're
involving Nash and Scott Hall with Jarrett. I mean, how?
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm gonna say too. I think one of our issues here is if, in fact, Randy Savage has quit, and it's just like, well, we don't know what to do. If we kind of falling apart a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like it puts it in a weird position of what's going to happen. Like, is he supposed to fight Jarrett, and then they had to pivot, or I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like, it's a weird situation.
Right. I mean, would you just do the Kings of Wrestling, which I don't know if I'm going to ever be comfortable with that phrase, like getting used to it. So would you promote, if you, for Turning Point, I'm just trying to think of what you would promote for a main event. Would you do the Kings of Wrestling against AJ, Hardy, and a mystery guy and have it be Savage, or do you still just say Savage if everything's smoothed over? I would say mystery guy if I can't rely on Savage.
Yeah, it has to be.
And then if Savage doesn't come in, the mystery guy could just be like Monty Brown.
Right.
Even if he wrestles twice in the same show.
Which would still make sense.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be a problem.
Yeah. I don't know. It was kind of a weird show after. I do think the interview, I'll say the interview, but the promo in the beginning, I feel like was kind of a little long because we didn't need a story time by Kevin Nash. DDP's debut was exciting, but I can't wait to hear about the finishing stuff he's got to do with Raven there. But it does look like we're continuing Abyss and Monty Brown, potentially. Abyss attacked him. And I'm excited about the X Division title picture because Sabin did, in fact, have a counter.
I think Sabin could win now.
So do I.
I'm just surprised that they would show the counter on TV.
I think that's almost why they did it, to be like, look, he can do it. To make you really think that, he is going to win, and then maybe we'll get a little switcheroo and he won't win.
I think you're right. I just would have thought, number one, that PD would avoid it. Like, avoid him in general, so not even allow that to happen. And you, just tease it a lot going into the pay-per-view. And then eventually, on pay-per-view, he countered it in a bigger moment.
Right.
Because your first time you're seeing it is on pay-per-view. Instead of, remember when he did it on Impact in that brawl or whatever.
Right. Well, overall, what did you think about the show? The first one the first Impact, I should say, after Victory Road. Where are you at?
I think it was a good show. I don't know how I feel. I think you're, no pun intended here, but I think you're losing your impact by having Paige debut so quickly after. There has to be a longer stretch of breathing. I think Hall and Nash should have been together here on TV with Jarrett for at least a month before you introduce Paige.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing. I think I agree with everything you said. And I did like the show. And I think it's a little too early to be like, okay, I hate this direction completely of the whole story or not. But I think in coming weeks we'll have a better feeling on the whole situation.
Yeah, and now another thing here. I've been saying, that the WCW legends, if you want to call them again, your Hall, Nash, Luger, but if he doesn't come in, doesn't matter. Page, Johnny B. Bad, whatever. These guys should be losing to guys. Now, I think initially they should go over because that's what you would expect. But at the closing moment of a feud or whatever, they need to then lose.
Right.
So they shouldn't be winning feuds. They can win matches, but they can't be winning feuds. So if Hall and Nash were to feud with America's Most Wanted down the line, and let's say AMW were the tag team champions, and Hall and Nash can win the titles, like initially from them, but there needs to be that that clear closing point of the feud where AMW win.
Right.
So that's how I kind of envision it. Same. I think that works a lot easier for heels. So like Paige clearly coming in as a babyface, I don't think he would be losing to heels.
Right.
Unless you really want to like an Abyss maybe, but if he's starting off with Raven, I feel like he is going to beat Raven.
Mm-hmm.
So then whoever that next feud would be with a heel, because again you're introducing DDP, the win over Raven, not a big deal. Cool. Raven's an established name. That's fine. But if he were to then feud with, let's say Abyss should probably beat DDP, but I don't know if they would do that.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I agree with that. Definitely. It's going to be pretty interesting going forward, man. I'm really interested to see where we go. What I will say is a little bit of a teaser. Our next episode, I think, in a while, probably since some of the crazy weeklies, has some of the most interesting notes that we're going to talk about before the show.
Oh, notes. Okay. I thought you were going to say matches. What the hell's going on?
No, it's
notes.
Dude.
Oh, God.
Some of the backstage stuff that we're going to talk about between next week and the week after alone already is crazy. There's some really crazy stuff, and I will tease one more thing. I'm going to say it's a very famous TNA segment that we'll discuss next week before the show. We won't be seeing it, but it happened. I'm going to tease you with that. I won't say any more until next episode.
I might know what you're talking about.
I think you do.
All right. That should wrap up this week's episode. Next week, we will be back with the November 19th edition of Impact as we continue on towards the second pay-per-view known as Turning Point. Until then, for Dallas Gridley, I am Bob Colling Jr., and this has been the TNA Crossline Podcast.
Natural.